Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, a couple of subscribers wanted me to talk about this election, and I am happy to do so. I'm sorry that it's so late that I'm finally getting around to talking about this election, but I wanted to take out time to share some of my thoughts about the election, and I'm really interested in hearing from you. First of all, I have to congratulate Vice President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, Senator Harris, on a job well done. I'm glad that they won the election for all the obvious reasons. You all who are familiar with this channel understand why I am excited about the fact that they won. And that excitement is not so much excitement about them as candidates or them actually being elected. It's more so about the fact that Donald Trump was defeated. It's more so about the fact that his agenda was defeated, that we don't have to endure 4 more years of Donald Trump. That is cause for celebration. It reminds me of that scene from The Wizard of Oz when they're like, ding dong, the witch is dead, and they're celebrating. Or like that scene from The Wiz where they're like, it's a brand new day, and they like celebrating and dancing and all that kind of stuff. That's how I feel now that Donald Trump has been defeated. I feel like those characters in the Star Wars movie after the Empire fell, and all these countries and nations were celebrating the downfall of the evil empire. That's how I feel, because Donald Trump is a man who openly pandered to white supremacists. He is a man who has proven himself to be hostile to voting rights, to affirmative action. He proved to be hostile to any kind of civil rights. He was supportive of racial profiling. He was, didn't view racism and, institutionalized racism as real. He didn't view police brutality as some federal issue. So I'm glad to see him go. And it's just a shame that you have people on here who are actually crying alligator tears because Donald Trump was not reelected. And I will get to that a little bit later on in this presentation. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that this is a sign of progress for this country. You have the first African-American elected as vice president. You had the first woman elected as vice president, and the first person of Asian descent to be elected as vice president. And that's something that is a sign of progress, just like the election of President Obama was a sign of progress. For all these years, the only people that were elected as president and vice president were white men. And I'm glad that glass ceiling has been shattered to pieces. It's a major milestone for this country, and I'm sure that many people thought that Joe Biden's chances were reduced by him choosing to have Kamala Harris run on his ticket. Those people have been proven wrong, and hopefully this is a sign of progress. But we know how politics works. One day the nation votes in a progressive type of way. The next day the nation votes in a counterproductive and conservative kind of way. So, but for now, we can enjoy this moment. I am glad to see the end of the Sith. The age of the Sith is over, and my Star Wars fans know what I'm talking about. The age of racism, where it's openly endorsed. We can't forget that Donald Trump openly pandered to white supremacists. So I'm glad to see an end to that in the White House. I'm glad that we will have a president that is not a puppet to Russia. Somebody that understands the importance of building ties with U.S. allies instead of destroying those while celebrating dictators, and, despots and enemies of the United States. That's what Donald Trump did during his time in power. And I'm glad that we now have responsible people in office. Donald Trump was a disaster when it came to addressing this pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic. And hopefully now that we have, an adult in the White House, somebody that's reasonable, somebody that has some kind of integrity, hopefully, things will be different. Another thing that has to be emphasized about this election is just the pivotal role that the black vote played in this election. The black vote was instrumental in this election, absolutely crucial. In states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, it was the black vote that proved to be absolutely essential in making a difference. It was the black vote that came through in Philadelphia and the surrounding areas that made it possible for Joe Biden to win Pennsylvania. And that turned the whole fate of the election. And then when you look at cities like Detroit and Michigan, again, the Detroit area came out and they voted in droves for Joe Biden. Those votes matter, and they made a difference. The black vote matters just like black lives do. And I'm glad that brothers and sisters understood that we have to vote because our lives depend on it. So you had people come out in Georgia as well, a state that has long been a red state. It looks like Georgia has turned blue because of the black vote and because of all the hard work of people like Stacey Abrams, because of her organizing skills and the organization that she is behind. They made a difference in Georgia, and they should be commended for making that difference. So that is crucial. And then the mere fact, as I mentioned in my prior video, that the black vote was essential, that should be leveraged into power for black people in terms of appointments to the Biden administration, in terms of judicial appointments. That's what we need coming from this Biden administration. And in addition to the appointments and all that, we also need to hold the Biden administration accountable for all the items that they laid out in their Lift Every Voice agenda. They need to be fully held accountable for that. And we need to make sure that they fulfill all of those campaign promises laid out in that Lift Every Voice agenda for the black community. In addition to that, we need to heavily push for reparations. Use our voice and our power to heavily push for reparations. And as I said in the other videos, the fact that black voters came out in droves, came out strong, with high voter turnout, like record numbers of black voters coming out, that proves how irrelevant some of these talking voices are here on YouTube that try to discourage black people from voting. Despite the number of subscribers that those people have, they have proven themselves to be out of touch, out of sync, and completely irrelevant when it comes to black people and black issues, the issues that are important to black people. And that's unfortunate that you have some of these personalities that are supposed to be so against white supremacy and racism actually disappointed, basically, that Joe Biden won this election. Actually whining and complaining about Joe Biden winning this election. And actually, some of these pro-black fakers on here are actually running with talking points from the Trump administration about voter fraud when there is zero evidence at all of any kind of voter fraud taking place that made any kind of difference in this election. But yet and still, you have these voices on here touting all these unsubstantiated, half-baked, half-cooked, ridiculous conspiracy mumbo-jumbo without any kind of proof at all. And it's just a shame, and it shows you a level of desperation of some of these people. Some of these people are nothing but race hustlers. You got this guy and I don't need to mention any names, but you got this guy on here on Twitter and stuff basically suggesting that they are making black people the face of this election so that they can later blame any kind of voter fraud on black people. And that's nothing but an unsubstantiated conspiracy theory that's based on nothing but conjecture. And it's just a shame that people actually follow and listen to these types of folks. And in many ways, they're almost as bad as these conservatives, these black conservatives on here that love Donald Trump. In fact, I would say that some of these fake pro-blacks are even worse than those conservatives. At least you know where they stand. At least those conservatives tell you up front that they support Donald Trump, they back Donald Trump, and they're sad that he lost or mad that he lost and all that kind of stuff. But you had these fakers on here that really wanted Donald Trump to win, were really trying to help him win by discouraging black people from voting. Those people are more despicable than the people that openly supported Donald Trump, because at least the people who openly supported Donald Trump were honest about their intentions and their objectives. Because it's like a complete contradiction for any so-called pro-black person to be supporting a man that panders to white supremacists, a man that's proven to be hostile to black interests. So that's something that I had to address. And the other thing that I want to address is this: like, some people who don't understand politics think that, they had this notion that all you had to do is sit back and vote and let things happen, or, they expect everything to be solved because you elected somebody to office, and if things aren't solved, then that proves that they didn't do nothing for black people. The fact of the matter is, we have to be the ones to continue to put pressure on Biden and Kamala Harris and all these other elected officials, whether we're talking about in the U.S. Senate, the U.S. House of Representatives, your state house, your city council, your mayor. We are the ones that have to hold these people accountable and make sure that they adhere to our agenda. And if they don't adhere to our agenda, we need to be able to respond with actions that will make it clear how important it is to adhere to our agenda. That's one thing. And then also, the protests will not end. The demonstrations against police brutality and all that stuff will continue, because the election of one president is not going to solve all the problems throughout the nation. There's still going to be a need for us to aggressively push and advocate for the issues that are of importance to our community. So, that's one thing that has to be addressed. And the last thing I want to address is this, and that's Trump being a sore loser. It's just a shame that we have somebody like this in the White House. Somebody who, instead of displaying class, instead of acting with grace and being professional and presidential, we have a sore loser. We have somebody who is crying because they have sour grapes. I mean, this is a person who is filing all these ridiculous, frivolous, pointless lawsuits, trying to cling to power, making up all kinds of unsubstantiated conspiracy theories to say that there was some kind of voter fraud. There is zero proof of this voter fraud, and those lawsuits will be a complete failure. Nothing is coming out of those lawsuits. Even his own family members and members of his administration have called upon him to concede. And I'm just so glad, again, that this man lost, and I can't wait to the day that he has to concede. He has to lower his head and admit that he lost this election. And I'm glad to see him go. He has done enough damage to the black community. And you have all these people harping on this on Joe Biden's record and talking about the crime bill and blah, blah, blah. But these same people, again, as I've said countless times before, they have nothing to say about what Donald Trump is doing today that is detrimental to black communities. So those are my thoughts about this election. Tell me what you all think. I'm really interested in hearing your perspective. And before I go, I just have to say, like, a lot of these people that are crying over Donald Trump losing this election, they remind me of that character from the movie Django, the character Steven, the character who played the sellout, the Sambo, who was actually crying when his slave master was shot and killed. That's how these Negroes look, crying over Donald Trump losing this election. I was watching this guy Afro Synergy, or as I like to call him, Afro Coonergy, on here crying about Donald Trump losing, on here trying to, uh, substantiate these ridiculous conspiracy theories about fraud, voter fraud, and all that stuff. Where is the proof? Either show and prove or shut the hell up. So, with that, peace and blessings, everyone. Have a great day. Please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit that notification bell so that you will know when I post new content on here. Peace and blessings. Have a great evening.